The first topic of the Stay Safe programme concerns feelings, particularly safe and unsafe feelings. Children need to be able to recognise and describe when they feel safe and unsafe. Safe and unsafe feelings are sometimes referred to as yes and no feelings. It is very important that children understand their feelings and that they can talk about them. Understanding about safe and unsafe feelings is crucial to everything that comes later in the Stay Safe programme. If they don't get this topic, the children won't get the full benefit of the programme. And so the Stay Safe lessons begin by getting children to give examples of times and places where they feel safe, such as when they're with their parents, or playing with friends, or in the classroom. Note that we start with safe rather than unsafe. It's always a good idea to start with the positive. It's important to let the children give their own examples. As adults, we should never generalize and assume what a child might feel in a particular situation. For example, we might as adults assume that a child feels safe snuggled up in bed. But what if bed is where a child has bad nightmares or is being abused? Then the child feels unsafe there. The lesson continues by getting the children to discuss times when they don't feel safe, for example, getting lost in a shopping centre. Children are asked what they could do in these situations, and they learn that if they follow the rules, they can help make themselves safe again. For example, if they were lost, they could go into one of the shops and ask the attendant for help. They are given the message that if you don't feel safe, you can do something about it. They learn about the importance of telling an adult in order to get help. As a parent, you can help by encouraging your child to talk about times when they feel safe and unsafe. Ask your child about what they should do in various situations where they don't feel safe. The second topic that is dealt with in the Stay Safe programme is that of bullying. Bullying can be a difficult subject to approach, but like all our topics, we start from the positive. The section on bullying begins by getting children to talk about friendship. How you make friends? How do you know someone is your friend? How do you keep friends? What does it mean to be a friend to someone? Friendship can be complicated, but if friendship is complicated, bullying is even more so. It's important that everyone in the school, teachers, parents and children, is clear about what bullying is. And so this section begins by getting the children to talk about what we mean by bullying. Well, it can be physical. For example, hitting, pushing, shoving, tripping, etc. It might mean interfering with a child's possessions, such as books, money or lunch. Bullying can be verbal, for example, name-calling, or insulting or humiliating remarks about a child's appearance or ability, or about their family, race or religion. It can involve spreading mean, hurtful gossip or rumours about another child. And bullying can be emotional, such as deliberately intimidating a child, or excluding or isolating a child. These lessons emphasise that girls are just as likely to bully as boys, and that we don't live in a comic book world of stereotypes where the big oaf takes lumps out of the little guy. In fact, there are many situations where the little guy can be the bully. Bullying may not always be done face-to-face. Mobile phones, emails and social networking sites are sometimes used by bullies to send nasty messages to others. Make sure your child knows that they should always tell you if they receive such messages. Children should also know that sending nasty and hurtful messages is always wrong. In class, we get children to talk about the effects of bullying, how it makes the victim feel. It's important to get them to realise that there are no innocent bystanders when it comes to bullying. It's rarely about just two people, the bully and the victim. There are almost always others present. If it's going on and you do nothing about it, then in a way you're part of it. But what could you do? Well, at the very least, you should just get away. As long as you're there, you are a weapon of the bully. But what about the child who is being bullied? What can they do? Children need to learn the language of self-defense, standing up straight, saying no, stop it. Even if children learn to say no in their heads, they can then get away and tell as soon as they can. The importance of telling to get help cannot be overemphasized where bullying is concerned. As parents, we can discuss bullying with our children. Ask them about what they would do if they were ever bullied. Get them to practice saying, "No, stop that," in a confident way with a good loud voice and positive body language. And make sure your child knows that they should never be ashamed or afraid to tell an adult, even if he or she has done something wrong themselves. Remember, all schools now have written policies and procedures to deal with bullying. If your child is being bullied and it is school related, you should talk to the class teacher or the principal. It may help to make an appointment in advance. Remember the Stay Safe rules. Say no, get away, and tell someone. The third topic of the Stay Safe programme relates to touches. At the risk of being repetitive, it's particularly important again to start with the positive. One of the worst things that could happen with a programme like this would be if a child became suspicious or cynical about every physical contact with others. It's important that children learn to value and enjoy normal, healthy touch and affection. The lesson begins by exploring the usual ways in which we show affection. Children talk about touches that they like and ones that they don't. For instance, some children love a hug, others hate them. Some children love being tickled while others dread it. They're entitled to state their preference. Children shouldn't have to accept physical contact that they don't like. They should be able to say politely, "Please don't do that." In discussing this topic, we get the children to talk about the parts of the body that are often touched. For instance, people might shake their hand, pat them on the head, or put their arms around them. They also learn that other parts of their bodies are private and are not often touched, except when the child is being washed or examined by a doctor or a nurse. For younger children, it may be routine, in the bath or at the toilet, that someone will touch them in this way. So how are they to judge what is unsafe, what is inappropriate? The main message to get across is that no one should ask a child to keep a touch a secret, and that the child should always tell an adult. If the doctor examines them, does he ask them to keep it a secret? Of course not. The rule is, if someone asks you to keep a touch a secret, you say no, get away, and tell an adult what has happened as soon as possible. Children need to learn that it's all right to say no to anyone who asks them to do something that is wrong or dangerous or makes them feel unsafe, even if it is an adult who asks. Sometimes younger children may not feel that they can say no to an adult. There is nothing in the Stay Safe programme to damage or traumatise a child, and the messages in the programme can be powerfully liberating for a child who is or has been abused. As parents, you can discuss safe and unsafe touches with your child and the rules he or she has learned in class to deal with unwanted touch. Tell your child never to keep any touch a secret, even if it involves someone they know and trust, and that he or she should always tell a trusted adult. The previous topic emphasised the importance of children knowing they should never keep a touch a secret. This topic looks at secrets and telling in more detail. Children learn to distinguish between good and bad secrets. A good secret is maybe a surprise, or a party, or even Mammy is going to have a baby. There are bad secrets, like if someone hurts you and tells you not to tell. Here's a good tip. Good secrets have a natural end point. The party happens, or we give the present, or Mammy has the baby and then it's not a secret anymore. Everyone knows about it. But with bad secrets, there tends to be no natural end point. The child feels that they are going to have to live with the bad secret forever. A good secret makes us happy and excited, and we want to tell others about it because we want them to be happy and excited as well. But with bad secrets, we are unhappy, scared. We want to tell other people, but we can't. We're afraid. Children need to learn that they should never keep a bad secret, even if they are being bribed or threatened. The lessons explore the obstacles and dilemmas in telling. What if someone threatens you or tries to bribe you not to tell? What would you do? What if you had already accepted the bribe? Children need to know that they can tell someone they trust about it and that they will be listened to and believed. The message is that it's not your fault if someone does something to you that makes you feel unsafe. Too often, a child may feel that in some way they are to blame. Of course, it's important to distinguish between telling to get help and telling tales. It's not about telling tales. It's about telling to keep ourselves safe. We move on then to consider who to tell and how to tell. Children are encouraged to have a list of adults they can tell because they're the ones who can help. However, we have to be aware that sometimes a child may tell another child. Children need to know that if someone tells them about a bad secret, they should always tell an adult about it. What about how to tell? Well, it's important to pick a good time when the adult is not too busy or on the phone. They need to practice the language of saying, "Dad or Mom, I have a problem and I need to talk to you." Children should be aware that sometimes adults can be busy or distracted and may not properly hear what is being said to them. And if this happens, they need to tell again and to keep telling until they get help. And so the message, "Say no, get away and tell," becomes "Say no, get away and tell and keep telling until you get help." As parents or guardians, your child is more likely to come to you when they're worried or concerned about something if they know they'll be listened to. You can discuss the importance of telling and make sure your child knows that he or she should never be ashamed or afraid to tell if he or she has a problem. Help your child draw up a list of adults who could be approached for help. These should be people both you and your child trust and your child can easily contact. This final topic of stay safe is about strangers. Some people have questioned whether it should be included at all. We know that in the vast majority of cases, children are abused by people well known to them. Most parents will alert their children to the danger associated with strangers. Like every other aspect of the program, it's not quite that simple. Ask any child would they go with a stranger and they will say no, of course not. But ask them what a stranger is and the answers may not be as clear. It's a man in a car or it's someone who looks strange. Take a look at this worksheet that is used with children in 1st and 2nd class. The children are asked to point out who is a stranger. They are more likely to point to the man in the park or the man in the car or maybe the guy hanging around the bus stop. They need to learn that a stranger is simply anyone they don't know. Of course, it's important to stress that the vast majority of strangers are nice people and that we sometimes rely on strangers in times of trouble, but that at the same time, there are rules children should always use with strangers. Never to go anywhere with a stranger, or never to take anything from a stranger. Ask your child what he or she would do in different situations with strangers, such as if a stranger asks for directions or offers your child a lift. You need to emphasize that it's not rude to refuse to talk to strangers if they don't feel safe. In summary, the Stay Safe program gives your child a set of personal safety skills to help keep them safe in potentially upsetting, dangerous, or abusive situations. It teaches them the language and skills they need to seek help. It teaches them that they have a right to be safe and that they should value and respect the rights of others.